Distance wedges can be such a challenge. They're right in between what a pitch shot is and a full shot. They're neither of both. So how do we know how far the ball is going to go? Well, we have to have a system. The best players in the world have a system. They don't rely on their feel. Anytime a student tells me, oh, I just practice and I just look and rely on my vision, that's not going to work, especially if you aren't practicing every single day. And what can those systems be? Well, the most common is what's called a clock system. And it's based on how far back you take your lead arm. So for example, if you take your lead arm to left arm to where it's parallel to the ground, that is going to be 9 o'clock. So I encourage you at the very least to just have one specific 9 o'clock swing. Go out, take your 3 or 4 wedges and just hit some shots where you take that lead arm to left arm parallel. And I don't care how far the ball goes, just hit some with all 4 of them and then look and see how far they go. You will be amazed at how it will segment out roughly about 10 to 12 yards difference with each of your wedges, and it will fit neatly into those awkward yardages. You could take it a step further by also incorporating an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock swing as well. Another option for these types of shots is if you don't want to do the clock system, you could do one shot where you go hip high to hip high, another one where you go shoulder height to shoulder height. It doesn't really matter. It's just important that you have that system and you understand how far the ball is going to go. For example, I know for me, my 60-degree wedge, when I take it to left arm parallel, the ball carries 60 yards in normal temperature. If I have to carry it 65 yards, I can rely on my feel because I know that, okay, left arm parallel goes 60. I could just go a little bit past it and it's going to carry about 65. And vice versa if I have to only carry it 55 yards. So really encourage you to implement a system and try out those different options. Now let's demonstrate what a 9 o'clock swing looks like. Now we've developed a system for these distance wedges. It's important to talk about what the best players in the world are doing. They hit these shots low and with a ton of spin. And the reason for that is it's much easier to control where the ball is going to go. Let's say, for example, I was going to throw a ball at the camera. If I threw it like this, almost like I'm throwing a dart, much easier than if I was going to try to loft it up and land it perfectly on the camera. Think about guys like Zach Johnson or Steve Stricker, awesome wedge players. They hit it really low and with a lot of spin. And the way that you can do that is when I work with my students, I see way too many of them getting their feet really wide. We want to keep our feet pretty close together, similar to that pitch shot that we talked about a club width apart. We want to keep our weight left. But the most important thing here is we do not want hinge in our wrists. Anytime we get a lot of hinge, it's going to lead to the ball going up in the air. Therefore, the way I like to hit these shots is feel like my arms are really long. I actually turn them under a little bit, and there's going to be no hinge in the wrists. And from there, it's just going to be a rotation back and then an aggressive, assertive turn through with a lot of speed. Let me go ahead and show an example here. So I'm getting in that nice setup here. And if you get my weight on my lead side, long arms, and I'm not going to hinge my wrists at all. Way back, way through, tons of speed. That ball's coming in low with a ton of spin. It's going to give you a lot of control on these shots.